welcome to the One Perspective to Another podcast. I am your humble and gracious host, A. Sanders, here with a hopefully evergreen episode. This is episode 165 to close out the year for 2022. I know it's been a month since I've last recorded, but sometimes you just gotta get in your groove. Like I said, this is just the evergreen episode, so I'm just gonna get right into my thoughts. But I want to put vocally my dear 2022 as well. So that's going to be in here. But just an ending of the year. Like, I'm just an observer. I'm a watcher. I'm a sentry from people watching movies, storytelling, listening to people's thoughts, et cetera, et cetera. But my thought on that is, like, when you're at peace, that's when you can truly listen. Because there's a lot of people who just move and just constantly blah, 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 blah. Just never take the time to, like, truly understand or give people the space or the thought to be. And that's, like, my true perspective is just being able to understand outward. Because when you understand yourself, it makes it easier for you to understand others. That's what peace is. But just in a year, people dealing with shit, life, losing parents, losing loved ones, relationships, the whole 9 yards. It's just the same shit over and over. When you get older, it's just the same shit over and over again. I mean, you can't say it any other way, like I say, or I'm going to say in my thing. It's just, you just got to choose it, and you got to go through it. But also, too, I want a random shout-out. I want to give a shout-out to Keith Lee. He has been killing it on TikTok and his Instagram with this food tasting shit. A chick did a video about it earlier, and she was like, why do we trust his taste buds so much? And we do, because I see his videos and he be like, it's delicious. They need to, like, coin that, or like his TV show or whatever it needs to be. You ain't got to give me no props, because that is a good ass idea. Because the way he say it too, it's delicious. It's just, it has to be like something on some network or some TikTok. Like, make that man blow up and get these people their monies and their incomes for these small businesses out here. Also, too, just in the past, and like, man, all these people with these get rich quick schemes, like, getting wealth takes a long time. And that's something that you just got to take with you going into this next year. Don't get hyped over all that fake shit. And the last thing, before I get into my little dear 2022, accountability. Accountability is definitely the thing moving into the new present for some people. For me, it's just like, you just got to keep carrying on with it. Like, accountability and acceptance, the other side of growth and just grieving and healing. Like, the truth is, it's going to hurt, and you're going to go through a lot of shit. You're going to hurt people, but that's what happens when you have to chase your own peace. We're chasing moments of happiness, and we strive to come home so they can be at peace with us. Because it's no point in doing shit for other people if they don't matter, if they don't care, if it's not for you, if it doesn't bring you joy, if it doesn't bring you happiness, if it doesn't bring you peace. Like, it's all for naught. So don't continue to waste your time. Just like the simple example, relationship built, is a lot of people will be like, oh, he's a piece of shit, or she's a piece of shit, or he's a narcissist, or she was a narcissist. I understand circumstances and you in flight or flight and whatever, but there was a key pivotal time where intuition or circumstances made you choose to ignore everything. Before the gaslighting, before the I hate my job, before the I didn't know this was going to happen. Like, spontaneous things happen. We can't stop death. We can't stop, like, finite shit. But for, like, for the most part, our choices, there are signs that will tell us, but we choose the latter because we holding on to hope or want the best or would rather be without or don't want to put in the work towards something. Like, just start choosing what you know is going to be, like, solid, man. Don't continue to be in these fucked up situations and keep choosing what's wrong. Just choose what's right. It's going to take time, but, like, you got all the time in the world. Shout out Gary Vee. You got all the time in the world. You're young. It just sucks that we got to go through this shit to learn sometimes. But yeah, that's my little end of the year thought. But without further ado, It's now time for my dear 2022. I don't know why I decided to put this in podcast form, but I just wanted to. Maybe I'll listen back on it. It inspired me because it was this, not without further ado, one more thing. Superman, Henry Cavill, whatever his name is, he talked about something that I actually seen like 3 years ago. I wrote it down, but it's a set of 50 things that you tell your son. But this one is 50 things about just perspective from an 80-year-old. And there's some great gems on here. I'll probably do an individual podcast on these 50 later. All of them aren't good. Like, I would create my own that'd be a little bit different, kind of like my book in a sense too. But it just made me think about, one, perspective, two, just things that we take for granted, and the last is just moving with our own pace. And like, I know we all have our own quirks and things that make us who we are. We can't ask them to change, but there are certain things that we can adapt to and understand of other people to be more welcoming and understanding, and to give people the right instance of space and boundaries in our time. Because there's a right way to do all that shit. Because it's boring, it's hard work and shit. But it goes hand in hand. Because shout out Kalani, I seen it on her, or somebody wrote it on her Instagram. She said, it was a good video, said that love is like a bench. And it said it's simple, it always got your back, and it's always gonna be there. And it resonated, because that's the shit I always say, like, people, and not just with relationships, but with your own self. Like, you're supposed to have your own back, because the bench starts with you. It's a base, it's two bases, it's a piece of wood going up and a piece of wood going down. You sit, you sit down on it and you rest. You cry on it, you get joy from it. Like, think about all the things you do while sitting. You got to apply that same principle to the things that you do in your own life, your own relationship with your own self, your relationship with other people, your relationships with family members. Sometimes that bench got to get blown up. Sometimes you got to do a little maintenance on it, because everybody want the Ferrari, but they don't want to do the maintenance behind it. Not just relationships with your own self. If you're comfortable driving the fucking hoopty and it gets you from point A to B and you happy, that's perfectly fine. But don't get on other people mad because they got a hoopty, but they want to drive 80,000 miles an hour. Like, go get the Ferrari, but understand that you got to put in the upkeep. You can't take no Ferrari to Jiffy Lube and get a fucking oil change. I'm sorry, can't do it. But we just got to make better decisions. We got to grow. And I know we all got to go through it at different times, but just got to keep growing. So with that being said, without further ado, it's time for Dear 2022. It's available on all writing platforms, Facebook, Instagram, but most specifically, it's available on Medium, because I write all of these on Medium to end the year off. Kind of short and sweet, because I actually forgot about it, but here we go. Dear 2022. While away for a majority of life with living and all, admiring everything inside of life, I pondered, I've thought, I've written, and I've computed everything a human can do to understand simple truths. But they sure do take us a long time to understand. But you got to go through it to understand it. It's funny how life is like that. Laugh at my pain. Very fitting. With that being said, life is everything. It's cruel, it's unfair, it's unforgiving, it's relentless, and it has no emotion for yours. And yet on the other side, it's everything beautiful, loving, perfect, and magical. Just if you take the time. The key phrase is, if you take the time. Not a lot of people take the time. I'm not reading verbatim. I'm just adding my little cues into it. First time I actually read it, but carrying on. To make the choice for the present you and the future you, only talking to the past for hindsight. I'm going to say that again. To make choices for the present you and the future you, only talking to the past you for hindsight. That's how I try to be. That's why I've become extremely comfortable in my understanding of how I matriculate my way through it. It's always will be a matter of perspective for me, because life, as cruel as it is and as beautiful as it is, you just got to see the perspective that pushes you through. Not the best way, not the easiest way. You're going to lose a lot, but you keep going. A lot of people are going to hate you. Not everyone will want you, but you just keep going. A lot of people are going to ignore you, say no, and not be there when you need them. You just keep going. It's seasons for a reason. It's seasons for a reason, and it's orbits around us for consistency. When I wrote this in my head, I thought of the 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall. I did a whole podcast about that. Shout out to Isaiah. In the winter, a lot of shit's gonna fall out. A lot of shit's gonna pass on. A lot of shit gonna die. People gonna die. Relationships gonna die. And in the spring, you're gonna nourish what's important. People are going to do what's important to them. In the summer, you're gonna reap the rewards of all your growth, of what you put in for your growth. And in the fall, it's just going to start the cycle all over again. But that's why I wrote that. It's really important to me. But one thing that will always reign supreme, your purpose and your passion will be what makes you feel good. It's enough to start new every time, just the way it is. Just the way it's supposed to be. When life funnels you through it, you live it. Your happiness starts with you. Only you open your eyes. As always, it's just my perspective. The drone zooms out into 2023 for more perspective shifts. And that's all I got. That's all I got. I hope everybody stays perspective filled into the new year. If you're listening to this, I appreciate you. If you don't, if you hear a little excerpt, I don't know how to say that word, whatever it is. But whatever it is, thank you for listening. Thank you for having this on your iPhone or your Spotify or your Anchor or your whatever it may be. I want to get more guests. I've been saying I'm going to get more guests. We're going to try. But with that being said, I'll catch you on the flip side. And I will be podcasting more. I'm going to give you another one next week about my little 50 things. But on that note, we are out.